Before you dive into this gut-wrenching tale of loss, corporate secrets, and an undeniable second chance, smash that subscribe button, hit like on this video, and tell us in the comments, what is the biggest secret someone has ever kept from you, and how did it shatter your life? The explosive encounter. The tempered glass of the 30th floor penthouse in the Chicago Gold Coast mirrored the heavy gray clouds like a melancholic screen. Ethan Vance, 34, adjusted his navy tie for the third time in 5 minutes, a nervous tic that had developed over the last few months of his deteriorating marriage. On his shoulders rested the weight of a financial empire, Vance Capital, and a shattered personal life. His executive assistant, Sarah, tapped discreetly on the door. "Mr. Vance, the representatives from the Clean Earth Foundation are here for the 3 o'clock meeting." Ethan nodded, his gaze fixed on the city stretching below, a labyrinth of concrete and broken dreams. Another baseless accusation, he thought. Another process that would cost time and resources just to prove the company's innocence. He was sick of fighting shadows. "Send them in, Sarah!" The door opened almost silently, and Ethan turned slowly, preparing the corporate smile he'd used in countless negotiations. But the smile died on his lips before it was born. Clara Monroe, 7 years. 7 years of silence, of unanswered questions, of sleepless nights searching for a clue as to why she had simply vanished from his life, like smoke dissolved in the air. And there she was, in a flawless black business suit, brown hair pulled back in an elegant chignon, carrying a leather briefcase and an expression he knew well. Determination masking vulnerability. Time seemed to stretch like a rubber band about to snap. Ethan felt his heart accelerate in a way it hadn't since the last time he'd seen her. "Ethan," her voice was deeper, more controlled, professional. "Monroe." He could only whisper her name, as if it were a forgotten prayer returning to memory. The other NGO members entered behind her, a middle-aged man with a gray beard and a young woman in glasses. But Ethan didn't see them. He only saw Clara and the way she avoided his gaze, focusing on neutral points in the conference room. "Please, have a seat." Ethan gestured toward the table, surprised by the firmness of his own voice. Clara chose the chair farthest from him, opening her briefcase with precise mechanical movements. Her hands, Ethan noticed, were trembling almost imperceptibly. She still wore her college graduation ring on her right pinky finger. "Mr. Vance," the bearded man, who introduced himself as Dr. George Harrison, began. "We are here to discuss the situation at the industrial site in Bridgeport. Our organization has received reports that Vance Capital has been aware of soil contamination for over 2 years. Ethan forced himself to pay attention, but his eyes were irresistibly drawn to Clara. She was scribbling notes in a planner, the same small, neat handwriting he used to find on the notes she left for him on the refrigerator when they lived together. "We have all the environmental permits in order," Ethan countered, switching to autopilot. "Our company has always strictly followed the legislation. The legislation doesn't protect the chronic respiratory problems that families are developing." Clara's voice cut the air like a knife. "Nor the children who have been born with neurological malformations in the last 3 years." She looked at him directly for the first time, and Ethan felt the impact of those hazel green eyes, like a punch to the gut. There was pain there, old pain and new pain, mixed into an expression that left him breathless. "Dr. Monroe is correct," Dr. Harrison continued. "We need total transparency, access to the original reports, soil analyses, and impact studies." The meeting lasted an hour. Ethan could barely focus on the technical issues, the legal demands, the deadlines. His mind was trapped in a past he couldn't process. The dawn when he woke up to find only a 2-line note on the dresser. "I can't do this anymore. Forgive me." When the representative stood to leave, Ethan felt an irrational desperation. "Dr. Monroe, could you stay a few more minutes? I'd like to discuss a few specific points of the process." Clara hesitated, closing her briefcase with unnecessary force. "I have another commitment, Mr. Vance. Please, it will be quick." Dr. Harrison and the assistant said their goodbyes, leaving them alone in the room, which now felt larger and quieter. Ethan walked toward the window, turning his back to her. "Why did you come back?" The silence stretched for an eternity. When Clara spoke, her voice was different, lower, less controlled. "I've been working here in Chicago for 3 years. 3 years." He turned slowly. "And you never what? Never looked for me?" A bitter laugh escaped his lips. "You got married, Ethan. I saw the photos in the papers. The wedding of the year, remember?" Ethan closed his eyes. Victoria. The marriage that had transformed into a golden cage, into endless nights of arguments, into a corrosive silence that consumed everything around them. "You left me." The words came out harsher than he intended. "You just disappeared. No explanation, no." "I had my reasons." "What reasons?" Ethan took a step toward her. "What reasons justify vanishing from someone's life? Canceling a wedding by letter, leaving someone wondering for years what they did wrong?" Clara stood up abruptly, the chair scraping the floor. Her hands were visibly shaking now. "You wouldn't understand." "Then explain it to me. Give me a reason. Something that makes sense." His shout echoed in the room, and both were paralyzed by the intensity of the emotion. Ethan ran a hand through his hair, trying to compose himself. "I'm sorry. I shouldn't have. I was pregnant." The words fell like stones into a silent lake. Ethan felt the world shift beneath his feet. "What?" Clara took a deep breath, as if preparing to plunge into deep water. "When I found out I was pregnant, my father was diagnosed with early-onset Alzheimer's. I was 25, Ethan. No mother since 16. No family. No support network. And you? You were building your company. Your dreams. I couldn't. You were pregnant with my son?" His voice was hoarse, incredulous. "Children," Clara corrected, finally letting the tears fall. "Twins." The world stopped. Ethan felt his legs weaken and leaned on the table. Where are they?" "Lily and Leo. They are 7 years old." Clara wiped her face with the back of her hand. "They're in school now. 7 years." Ethan repeated the words as if they were a foreign language. "I have 7-year-old children. Ethan, Where are they?" He moved closer to her, his eyes burning with a mixture of rage and desperation. "I want to see them. Now!" "It doesn't work that way." "And how does it work then?" Ethan practically screamed. "You decide alone when I can meet my own children? You stole my children!" The accusation came out low, but laden with pain. 7 years, Clara. 7 years of first steps, first words, birthdays. You stole all of that from me. I was protecting them. From what? What were you protecting us from? Clara looked away, her breathing ragged. From me, from my family, from the genetics I carry. Ethan frowned, confused. What genetics? Mosaic Turner syndrome. The words came out as a painful confession. A rare condition that can affect neurological development. I found out when I was pregnant. There's a chance of transmission to the children. I couldn't put that responsibility on you. So you decided to bear it alone? I had no choice. Yes, you did! Ethan slammed his fist on the table. You could have trusted me. You could have told me. We were partners, Clara. Fiancé. We were going to get married, remember? Clara sobbed, all professional composure finally breaking. I was terrified. My father was wasting away every day, no longer recognizing my face. My mother died tragically when I needed her most. I couldn't risk you abandoning me, too. It was easier to leave first. Ethan remained silent for a long moment, processing all the information. When he spoke again, his voice was quieter, but charged with deep sadness. You wouldn't even look me in the eye. I loved you more than any dream, more than any company, and you knew it. Clara shook her head, tears falling freely now. I loved you too, that's why I left. They stood there, separated by feet of distance and years of resentment, but united by a shared pain that neither knew how to heal. "The children's medical exams," Ethan asked, his voice strained. "How are they?" "Leo is fine, perfectly healthy. But Lily..." Clara took a deep breath. "She shows some neurological symptoms. We're still investigating. That's why I came back to Chicago. The best specialists are here." Ethan felt a knot in his chest. A daughter he didn't know, possibly ill, needing care he didn't even know he should offer. "I want to help. Ethan, please." He stepped closer to her, stopping inches away. "Don't ask me to pretend they don't exist. Don't ask me to keep living as if I don't have children." Clara looked at him for a long moment, and Ethan saw in those eyes the same love that had sustained him for years, mixed with fear and hesitation. "They'll have many questions. I have answers. They might not accept you right away. I can wait." Clara closed her eyes, and Ethan knew an internal battle was being fought there. When she opened them again, there was a fragile but determined resolution. "They get out of school at 5. There's a park near our place where they usually play." She hesitated. "You can show up as if it were a coincidence, like an acquaintance of mine. Let me prepare the ground." Ethan nodded, his heart pounding so hard he was sure she could hear it. "Where?" Clara scribbled an address on a piece of paper and handed it to him. Their fingers brushed briefly, and Ethan felt the same electricity from years ago. "Ethan." She paused at the door. "I am so sorry for everything. I know it's not justifiable, but I truly am sorry." After she left, Ethan remained alone in the room, staring at the paper in his hands, as if it were a map to a lost treasure. 2 hours until he met his children. 2 hours to figure out how to explain 7 years of involuntary absence. He took his phone and canceled all commitments for the rest of the week. Some meetings could wait a lifetime. Others could not. Do you think Clara's past actions were justified, given her circumstances? How do you think the children will react to meeting their biological father for the first time? Leave your thoughts and predictions in the comments. We want to read them. The first look, a Lincoln Park meeting. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more amazing stories. Lincoln Park in Chicago hummed with the typical energy of late afternoon. Children ran among the playground equipment, while parents balanced quick conversations with vigilant glances. Ethan parked his black SUV at a safe distance and remained in the car for a few minutes, his hands shaking against the steering wheel. 7 years. 7 years of lost life. 7 years of ungiven hugs. Untold stories. Nights when he couldn't check if they were tucked in properly before sleep. Rage and nostalgia mingled in his chest like toxic ingredients. He looked at his watch. 5:15. Clara had said they usually arrived by 5. Ethan got out of the car, adjusted his blue dress shirt, and walked toward the benches near the playground area. He chose a strategic spot, visible, but not intimidating, as if he were there by chance. His heart leaped when he saw Clara approaching down the sidewalk. She wore jeans and a simple white blouse, her hair loose, waving in the breeze. But it wasn't her that caught his attention. It was them. Lily ran a few steps ahead, her light blonde hair in 2 messy braids. She wore a navy dress with small yellow flowers and pink sneakers that flashed with every step. Leo walked beside his mother, more composed. A Spider-Man backpack on his back, and a serious expression that Ethan recognized as a trademark of his own childhood. Ethan felt the air leave his lungs. They were beautiful, perfect, devastatingly beautiful, and there was something in both their eyes, that specific bluish-gray tint, that left no doubt about his paternity. "Mommy, can I go on the slide?" Lily's voice was high-pitched, full of life. "You can, sweetheart, but stay where I can see you." Clara sat on a nearby bench, pretending not to notice Ethan. But he sensed the tension in her shoulders. Leo remained by her side, watching the park activity with the patience of someone much older. Ethan took a deep breath and stood up, casually walking toward the water fountain near their bench. As he passed, he made sure to stumble slightly, dropping his keys. Clara feigned surprise, bending down to pick up the keys. "Clara Monroe." She turned, and Ethan saw the poorly concealed nervousness in her eyes. "Ethan, what a coincidence! What are you doing here?" Her acting was unconvincing, but it would serve its purpose. "I live a few blocks from here. I usually run in the park." He vaguely pointed toward the running track. "And you?" "Oh, I brought the kids to play a bit." Clara hesitated. "Ethan, these are my children, Lily and Leo." Leo observed him with analytical eyes, clearly evaluating whether Ethan posed any threat. "Hi," the boy said, his voice cautious. "Hello, Leo. Nice to meet you." Ethan knelt to his height. "Do you know my mom from work?" "We've known each other for a long time," Ethan answered carefully. "We're old friends." Lily had stopped playing and approached, curiosity overriding initial shyness. "You have the same eyes as us," she observed, tilting her head to the side. Ethan felt his heart skip a beat. Childlike sincerity could be devastating. "Really?" He smiled. "Maybe it's a coincidence. My teacher says coincidences don't exist. She says everything happens for a reason." Lily swayed on the tips of her toes. "What's your name?" "Ethan. That's a great name." She grinned, revealing a slightly crooked front tooth. "Do you want to see me go headfirst down the slide?" Clara quickly stood up. "Lily, don't do that. It's dangerous." "But Mommy, maybe he could teach me how to slide normally first," Ethan suggested. "I bet she's very brave." Lily lit up and ran back to the playground. Ethan sat on the bench next to Clara, maintaining a respectful distance. "She is," he paused, unable to find the words. "Energetic, stubborn, too curious for her own good," Clara completed, but there was affection in her voice. "Perfect," Ethan said simply. "She's perfect." Leo had sat on the other side of his mother, but continued watching Ethan. "Do you have children?" the boy asked suddenly. The question hit Ethan like a punch. He looked at Clara, who looked away. "No," he answered honestly. "I don't have children." "Why, Leo?" Clara gently reprimanded him. "It's okay," Ethan addressed the boy. "It's a good question. I guess I never found the right person to start a family with." "My mom doesn't have a husband either," Leo commented. "She says our dad couldn't stay with us." Every word was a dagger. Ethan had to swallow before answering. "Sometimes circumstances are complicated." "Do you think he would like us?" Leo asked. "Our dad?" And there was a vulnerability in his voice that broke Ethan's heart. "I'm sure he would love you more than anything in the world," Ethan replied, his voice choked with emotion. "Like any father would love such special children." Leo smiled for the first time, a small but genuine smile. "Do you want to see my drawing?" He opened his backpack and pulled out a notebook. "I drew a dragon at school today." Ethan took the notebook with careful hands, as if holding something precious. The drawing showed a dark green dragon, with golden wings exhaling fire toward a castle. "That's incredible. You are very talented." "Lily draws better than me," Leo admitted. "She draws people. I only know how to do dragons and cars." "Dragons and cars are cool subjects," Ethan said seriously. "Do you like cars?" Leo's eyes lit up. "Yes, especially sports cars. My mom says when I'm big, I can have one if I work hard." "That's a good plan," Ethan smiled. "What's your favorite?" "Ferrari, red," Leo answered without hesitation. "And you? Do you have a car?" "I have a few," Ethan admitted. "Maybe I could show them to you sometime." "Really?" Leo brightened, but quickly looked at his mother. "If Mom lets me, of course." Clara was tense. Ethan could feel it. The situation was getting out of hand, and he knew he needed to step back. "Look at you two." Lily came running back, her cheeks red with excitement. "I made a friend. Her name is Sarah, and she has a dog named Palomita." "That's great, sweetheart," Clara replied, looking at her watch. "But it's getting late. We need to go home." "Already?" Lily pouted. 5 more minutes. Ethan can stay and watch me slide down the slide properly. Ethan looked at Clara, who hesitated. I think your mom is right. It's getting dark. Are you ever going to come back here? Leo asked. Well, I run around here a couple of times a week. We come here every Tuesday and Thursday, Lily informed him. And Saturdays too, when we don't have other things to do. Lily! Clara reprimanded her. We don't need to tell everyone our schedule. But he's not just anyone, Mommy. He's your friend. Ethan and Clara exchanged a meaningful glance. That's right, Ethan said softly. We are old friends. Then you can come back, Leo decided. Friends can come back. On the walk to Clara's car, a white Honda Civic with a few scratches, Lily skipped alongside Ethan, chatting about school, about the teacher with purple hair, about the cat that showed up in their yard. Ethan, she suddenly said, stopping. Are you sad? The question caught him off guard. Why do you ask that? Your eyes get sad sometimes, just like Mommy's when she thinks I'm not looking. Ethan knelt to her height. Sometimes adults get sad about things from the past, but being here with you makes me happy. Then you should come more often, so you don't feel sad. The innocence in her voice almost made him cry right there. Maybe I will. When they reached Clara's car, Leo hesitated before getting in. Ethan. Yes? Thank you for not leaving when Lily was chattering. Lots of people get annoyed. I loved talking with both of you. Leo smiled again and got into the car. Lily waved energetically through the window as they drove away. Ethan stood on the sidewalk until the car disappeared, feeling as if a part of him had been torn away. They were his children, who didn't know who he was, who had grown up without him, who were perfect and wonderful and inches away, yet completely out of his reach. He pulled out his cell phone and dialed Clara's number. Hello. They're incredible. Silence on the other end. Ethan! No. Let me speak. His voice trembled. They are incredible, Clara. Smart, loving, curious. And I lost everything. All the important moments. All the little daily miracles. I lost everything. I know. Her voice was choked. I know, and I'm sorry. How do you do it? He asked. How do you manage to raise them alone? It's overwhelming. Some days are harder than others. Clara sighed. Especially with Lily. She has episodes, intense headaches, mental confusion. The doctors are still investigating. Ethan's stomach clenched. How can I help? Ethan, we talked about this. They liked me, Clara. Did you see? Lily invited me back. Leo shared his drawing. They need a father figure, even if they don't know I'm their father yet. A long pause. You have to understand one thing, Clara finally said. If you come into their lives, you can't give up. You can't decide it's too hard and leave. They've suffered enough. I'm not going anywhere. I love them. How can I be sure? Because I love them, Ethan replied without hesitation. I met them 2 hours ago, and I already love them more than I knew it was possible to love anyone. Imagine after a lifetime. Another silence. Tuesday? Clara finally said. You can come on Tuesday, but slowly, Ethan. They need to get used to you first. Thank you. He closed his eyes in relief. Thank you for giving me this chance. When he hung up the phone, Ethan sat in the driver's seat and allowed himself to cry for the first time in years. He cried for the loss, for the nostalgia, for the instant, overwhelming love he felt for 2 children he barely knew, but who were, undeniably, the most important thing that had ever happened to him. Tuesday couldn't come soon enough. What profound impact do you think this revelation will have on Ethan's life from now on? How will Clara navigate the delicate process of integrating him into the children's lives? Share your ideas and predictions in the comments. Don't forget to like and share this video. The Imperfect Family and the Uncomfortable Question. 3 months later, Clara's apartment in Chicago's Lakeview neighborhood had transformed into something completely different. The walls, once sober and neutral, adorned only with diplomas and abstract paintings, now displayed a colorful and chaotic gallery of children's drawings. Leo's dark green dragons competed for space with Lily's family portraits, where everyone appeared hand in hand beneath a smiling orange-yellow sun. On the refrigerator, colorful animal magnets held a growing collection of memories. Photos from the park taken with Ethan's phone, reminders of doctor's appointments written in Clara's neat hand, school reports with gold stars, and a special note, written in hesitant child's handwriting. Ethan is our special friend, and he makes Mommy smile. Below it, in Leo's firmer hand, was written, he makes us smile too. Ethan had become a constant and expected presence on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and on Saturdays, when he didn't have urgent company commitments. What began as casual and carefully orchestrated meetings in the park had naturally evolved into entire afternoons at Clara's house. Dedicated help with homework, dinners that stretched until the children fell asleep on the living room sofa, still clutching the storybooks he read in different voices for each character. Leo had officially adopted him as a confidant for all things masculine. Sports cars he saw on the street and dreamed of driving one day, football team statistics, and mainly the deep, seemingly insoluble mysteries of the feminine universe, represented by his sister Lily and his mother Clara. Lily, for her part, had included him in all her sacred, non-negotiable rituals, the careful choice of bedtime stories, the detailed technical evaluation of each of her drawings. This dragon has a sad face, or an angry face, and daily consultations about which clothes made her prettier than a real princess, but not one of those silly ones who waits for a prince. Clara watched this transformation, her heart constantly divided between the deepest gratitude and a gnawing fear. Every genuine laugh the children shared with Ethan was simultaneously a blessing that warmed her soul and a punishment that reminded her of everything she had denied them for 7 long years. How could she explain to 2 innocent children that this man they loved with growing naturalness, who treated them with innate paternal affection, who knew their quirks and fears as if he had always been present, was actually the father they believed they had lost forever before even knowing him? The question tormented her during sleepless nights, when she heard Ethan read stories in the next room, his deep, loving voice narrating adventures of unlikely heroes and happy endings that seemed like whispered promises in the dark. "Mommy!" Lily appeared in the kitchen on that sunny Thursday in March, while Clara automatically prepared dinner, lost in thought. "Is Ethan having dinner with us today?" "Yes, sweetheart." Clara forced a smile, stirring the tomato sauce harder than necessary. "But remember, he has to leave early today. He has an important commitment." "What kind of commitment?" Leo appeared behind his sister, as he always did, his investigative curiosity in full swing. Clara hesitated, the wooden spoon suspended in the air. She couldn't say that Ethan was meeting his lawyers to finalize the last details of his divorce from Victoria, a process that had dragged on for months amidst increasingly absurd and deeply hurtful accusations, and a growing emotional instability that made everyone around them walk cautiously. "Work things, Leo. Boring adult things." "He works a lot," Lily observed, pensively nibbling a carrot she had stolen from the salad. "Just like you, Mommy. You both work a lot." "Sometimes adults need to work hard to take care of the people they love," Clara explained, hoping the answer would suffice. "Does Ethan love us?" Lily's question was formulated with the disconcerting naturalness of someone asking about the weather or the color of the sky. Clara almost dropped the pot. The question hit her like a punch to the stomach, not because of the surprise, but because of the absolute certainty of the answer she couldn't give. "Why do you ask that, sweetheart?" "Because he looks at us the same way you do." Lily tilted her head, as she did when processing something important. "With that protective look, you know. Like when you worry when I'm sick, or when Leo is sad. And yesterday, I dreamed he was our real dad. It was a very beautiful dream. Leo rolled his eyes with typical older brother impatience. Lily, you dream the craziest things. Last week you dreamed you were a mermaid and could breathe underwater. But this dream was different, Lily insisted, her eyes shining with a conviction that frightened Clara. It was like in the movies. He picked us up from school every day. He played with us in the backyard. He slept here at home. He had breakfast with us. It was like we were a real family. We are a real family, Clara said quickly. The three of us are a complete family. I know that, Mommy, Lily smiled with exaggerated patience. But in the dream, we were an even more complete family. With a dad and a mom, Leo remained silent for a moment, and Clara realized with a knot in her heart that he was thinking about it too. Lily! Clara knelt to her daughter's level, her hand still trembling slightly. How do you feel when you're with Ethan? Safe. The answer came without hesitation, as if it were the most obvious thing in the world. Like when you hug me after a nightmare, like nothing bad can happen to me. Like he can fight any monster to protect me. Leo nodded silently, and Clara realized with a knot in her heart that he felt exactly the same way. Her children had found in Ethan something she herself hadn't even realized they were looking for, the father figure who completed the emotional puzzle of their lives. The doorbell rang, interrupting the significant moment. Lily ran to open it, as she always did, followed by Leo, who automatically assumed his role as the more cautious protector. Clara heard the children's exclamations of joy and Ethan's deep voice, which responded with equal enthusiasm and genuine affection. I brought you a surprise, Ethan announced when they entered the kitchen, carrying a mysterious bag. What surprise? What surprise? Lily jumped impatiently, trying to peer into the bag. Ethan showed a small box with colored tickets. Movie tickets? There's a new Spider-Man movie, and I thought we could go on Saturday, if your mom lets you, of course. We can, Mommy, please, please, please! Lily clasped her hands in a dramatic plea. I really want to see that movie, Leo added, his enthusiasm more contained, but equally genuine. I heard the kids at school say it's the best one ever. Of course you can. Clara smiled, but Ethan noticed the familiar tension in her shoulders, the way she avoided looking at him directly. It's going to be fun. During dinner, the children chatted animatedly about the movie they were going to see, about friends at school and their latest antics, about the science project Leo was developing. Ethan participated in the conversation with a naturalness that seemed innate, asking intelligent questions, laughing at the childish jokes, helping Lily cut her meat with infinite patience. Clara watched him discreetly, as she did every night. He was a natural father, effortless and unpretentious, patient with Lily's endless antics, attentive to Leo's quiet needs, affectionate without being permissive, present without being suffocating. Everything she had dreamed he would be if he had had the chance to be a father from the start. Ethan, Leo said suddenly, in the middle of his milk pudding dessert. Are you married? The question caught everyone by surprise. Ethan almost choked on his pudding, and Clara felt her blood run cold. "Why do you ask that, Leo?" "Just curious." Leo shrugged with studied indifference. "You never talk about your family, and you wear a wedding ring." Ethan looked at his own hand, where the white gold ring still shone. He wore it more out of automatic habit than any emotional meaning it might still hold. "I'm getting divorced," he answered with careful honesty. "Sometimes marriages don't work out, even if people try very hard." "Is it sad?" Lily asked, with the devastating sincerity only children possess. "A little," Ethan weighed the answer. "But it's also a relief when two people realize they can no longer make each other happy, no matter how hard they try." "And is that why you stay here with us?" Leo continued his thorough investigation. "Because you're lonely?" "No." Ethan looked directly at each of them. "I stay here with you because this is where I want to be. Because you make me happy in a way I didn't even know was possible." "Are you going to get married again?" Leo persisted, with the determination of a small detective. Ethan looked directly at Clara, who was too focused on her pudding. "Maybe, if I find the right person." "How will you know it's the right person?" Lily leaned forward, intensely interested in the topic. "I think you know when you look at her and you feel like you've come home." His voice became lower, more intimate. "When you can't imagine a single day of your life without her. When she makes you want to be a better person, just to be worthy of her love." The silence that followed was charged with heavy meaning and expectation. Clara looked away, her cheeks slightly flushed, pretending to be absorbed in wiping a non-existent stain from the table. "Can I have more pudding?" Lily broke the tension with childlike practicality. "Just a little more," Clara replied, still avoiding Ethan's eyes. Later, after the children had gone to bed, following the elaborate ritual of brushing teeth, choosing pajamas, and listening to another story, this time about a dragon who discovered he was a vegetarian, Clara and Ethan remained on the apartment's small balcony, drinking coffee and watching the Chicago lights stretch to the horizon like an ocean of terrestrial stars. "They asked a lot of questions today," Clara commented, breaking the comfortable silence. "Children are naturally curious. It's part of their normal development." "Ethan," she hesitated, her hands gripping the coffee cup like an anchor. "I think it's time to tell them the truth." Ethan turned to her completely, surprised by the sudden declaration. "Are you sure? I thought you wanted to wait longer. They're getting very attached to you, and you to them." Clara sighed deeply. "If something goes wrong, if for some reason you have to leave suddenly." "I'm not going anywhere, Clara. I know, but life is unpredictable. And also," she paused, "they deserve to know who you really are, especially because of Lily's medical situation." Lily's most recent exams had revealed some subtle but worrying neurological alterations that required constant, specialized medical monitoring. The neurologists needed the complete paternal family history to define the best treatment protocol and fully understand her clinical picture. "How do you want to do it?" Ethan asked, his voice filled with a mixture of anxiety and expectation. "I don't know." Clara laughed without humor, a bitter sound that cut the night. "How do you explain to two 7-year-olds that you lied to them for their entire known life? How do you ask for forgiveness for stealing their right to know their own father? You didn't lie, Clara. You protected them in the only way you knew how at the time. The same way I was protected when I learned they existed." The irony in his voice was clear and painful. "Protection through omission and silence never works for long, Ethan. The truth always finds a way out." Ethan remained silent, acknowledging that she was entirely right. Protection through silence was an illusion that always ended up causing more pain than relief. "How about this weekend?" he suggested carefully. "After the movie, when they are relaxed and happy, we can take them somewhere special and talk calmly." "Where?" "I know a perfect place." Ethan smiled with a sad nostalgia. "A cabin in Lake Geneva, Wisconsin, that I used to go to with my father when I was a kid, when we needed to have important conversations. It's quiet, beautiful, surrounded by nature. A place where important conversations happen naturally. Clara nodded slowly, fear and determination battling in her chest. Okay, then, this weekend, after the movie, everything is going to be fine, Ethan said. But his own voice carried uncertainty. How can you be so sure? Because they already love us as a family. The truth will only formalize what we all already know in our hearts. Do you think this is the right time for Ethan and Clara to tell the children the truth? How will Lily and Leo react to a revelation that will alter their lives? Share your thoughts and predictions. The day that changed everything. Disappearance and confrontation. Subscribe now so you don't miss the dramatic conclusion of this incredible story. Friday arrived with a heavy, overcast sky, laden with humidity that seemed to presage a storm. Clara woke up with a strange, persistent feeling in her stomach, as if something bad was approaching on the horizon. A maternal intuition that left her uneasy for no apparent reason. Lily woke up cranky, with a pounding headache, symptoms that had become more frequent and worrying in recent weeks, leaving Clara constantly alert for any sign of worsening. "I don't want to go to school today," she complained during breakfast, pushing her fruit plate away with complete disinterest. "You have to go, sweetheart." Clara tried to keep her voice calm and patient. "Today is the presentation day for your marine animals project. You worked so hard on it, remember?" "I don't care about the stupid marine animals anymore," Lily pouted exaggeratedly. "My head hurts too much, and I just want to stay in bed." Leo watched his sister with the growing concern that had become his trademark in recent weeks. He had developed an almost paternal protective instinct toward Lily, as if he sensed she was more fragile and needed extra care. "Do you want me to stay with you at school today?" he offered seriously. "I can ask Mrs. Peterson to let me watch your presentation in the other class." "You have your own class, Leo," Clara said gently, touched by her son's dedication. "And your own math presentation. But I take care of Lily. It's my job to take care of her." The simple sentence, laden with responsibility, broke Clara's heart. Leo, at 7, already carried the emotional weight of being the older brother, the designated protector, responsible for a security that should belong exclusively to adults. "I know you take care of her, sweetheart, and that makes me very proud. But Lily will be fine at school. And afterward, both of you will go to Mrs. Agnes's house, as always, where you can take care of each other." Mrs. Agnes was the elderly neighbor next door who looked after the children during the few crucial hours between school dismissal and Clara's return from work. A sweet, maternal woman whom the children had spontaneously adopted as an honorary grandmother, and who treated both of them with the affection of someone who never had grandchildren of her own to spoil. The day passed with the tense normality of ordinary days. Clara focused on preparing for an important hearing on Monday. Ethan dealt with the last bureaucratic procedures of his divorce, and the children followed their school routines seemingly without issue, until 3 o'clock in the afternoon, when Clara's phone rang with the shrill urgency of an emergency. "Dr. Monroe!" Mrs. Agnes's voice was visibly distressed, laden with a worry that instantly chilled Clara's blood. "Leo hasn't come home." "What do you mean he hasn't come home?" Clara felt the world spin beneath her feet. "What do you mean by that?" "Lily arrived home with the school transport normally at 2:30, as always, but Leo wasn't with her." Mrs. Agnes spoke quickly, clearly nervous. "Lily said he stayed at school to finish an important project, but it seemed strange to me that he hadn't told us. I called the school and spoke with the principal. She said Leo left at the normal time, along with all the other children." Clara was already grabbing her purse and running toward the elevator, her heart pounding so hard she could hear it in her ears. "Mrs. Agnes, stay with Lily at home. Lock the door and don't let her leave for anything in the world. I'm going to look for Leo right now." The next 2 hours were the longest and most agonizing of Clara's life. She meticulously covered the entire route between the school and Mrs. Agnes's house. Not once, not twice, but 5 times, checking every side street, every alley, every place where a 7-year-old might have stopped or gotten lost. She checked the park where they usually played, searching every playground area, every bench, every tree where Leo might be hiding. She checked the bakery where they sometimes bought sweets on the weekend, asking all the employees if they had seen a blonde boy with blue eyes. She ran to the public library Leo loved to visit, hoping to find him lost among the children's book stacks. Absolutely nothing. With every passing minute, desperation grew like a hungry beast, devouring her sanity. Clara called all the parents of Leo's friends she could remember, the school 3 times, the hospitals in the region, asking about lost children. At 5:30 in the afternoon, her hands shaking so much she could barely dial, she called Ethan. "Leo is missing." The 3 words cut the air like stabs. On the other end of the line, Ethan remained silent for 2 seconds that felt like an eternity. "Where are you?" "In front of the school. I've looked everywhere possible. He just disappeared." "Don't move. I'm coming there, and I'll bring help." In 20 minutes, which dragged on like hours, Ethan arrived at the school with 2 private investigators who regularly worked for his company on corporate security matters. Marcus and Robert were experienced professionals, specialists in missing persons cases. In 40 minutes, the police had been officially alerted, and a formal investigation was underway. The initial investigation, carried out with professional efficiency, revealed information that chilled the blood of everyone involved. Leo had indeed left school at the normal time, accompanied by the usual group of children who took the school transport. But instead of getting on the familiar school bus, which had taken him home for months, he had walked to the corner and voluntarily gotten into a black car that was waiting for him. Several children saw him and waved, thinking it was someone from the family who had come to pick him up for a special commitment. Leo had waved back, seemingly calm, and showing no signs of fear or coercion. Someone he knew and trusted, Marcus concluded after hearing the children's testimonies. He got into the car spontaneously, without hesitation. "Who would have access to the children's schedules?" Robert asked, pragmatic. "Who would know exactly where and when to find Leo?" "The school, obviously. The teachers. The principal," Clara listed mechanically, trying to think rationally through the panic. "Some of his friends' parents, and the people closest to our family. Ethan, Mrs. Agnes, my colleagues at work and their staff. Mr. Vance," Marcus addressed Ethan with focused attention. "Employees, drivers, security guards, people who work at your house, Victoria." Ethan frowned, confused by the direction of the question. "I don't have employees who have direct contact with the children. They've never been to my house. They've never personally met my team. But some people know about their existence?" "Some, yes." Ethan began to pale as he connected the dots. "My assistant, my driver, my personal lawyer." And he stopped abruptly. "Mrs. Agnes." "Who is Mrs. Agnes?" "The housekeeper at the house where I live, where I lived with my ex-wife." Ethan was clearly disturbed now. "She's worked for our family for 15 years. She knows all the details of our personal life. And in recent months, since I started spending time with Clara and the children, I mentioned I was visiting, that I was spending time with some special children." "You need to talk to her immediately," Marcus said directly and urgently. Ethan took his cell phone with visibly trembling hands and dialed the house number. It went to voicemail. Strange, because Mrs. Agnes always answered on the second ring, with military punctuality. He tried her cell phone, straight to voicemail. "She never ever ignores my call." Ethan was visibly distraught now, running a hand through his hair repeatedly. "Agnes is obsessively responsible and available. In 15 years, she has never ignored a call from me. We're going to her house now." Marcus decided without hesitation. "Who do you think took Leo, and what could be their motive?" "How will Ethan and Clara handle this terrifying new development?" Share your theories in the comments. The confrontation and reunion. The Vance mansion stood on one of the most exclusive streets in the Chicago Gold Coast neighborhood. An imposing, classic palace surrounded by elaborate and perfectly manicured gardens. When they arrived, all the lights in the house were off, which was completely unusual for that time of day. Ethan used his keys to enter, calling out loudly, "Agnes! Agnes! Are you here? I need to talk to you urgently." The silence that responded was heavy and ominous. The house felt too empty, as if holding its breath. They found Mrs. Agnes in the large, immaculate kitchen, sitting at the granite table, staring fixedly at her clasped hands, as if praying or preparing for a confession. She was a woman of 62, with completely gray hair pulled back in a strict bun, her normally severe and controlled expression now vacant and lost. "Agnes?" Ethan approached cautiously, as if dealing with a wounded animal. "Where is Leo?" She slowly lifted her eyes, and Ethan saw there a devastating mixture of guilt, desperation, and something that looked almost like relief at finally being discovered. "I didn't want to hurt him." The words came out low, almost whispered. "I swear, on all that is holy, that I didn't want to cause that innocent child any pain. Where is Leo, Agnes?" Ethan had to lean on the table to keep from falling. "In the little cabin, up in Lake Geneva, Wisconsin, on the property that belonged to my parents." Mrs. Agnes began to cry silently, tears running down her wrinkled face. "He's fine, I promise. I gave him food, fresh water. I left him the toys he brought from school. I even let him turn on the television to distract himself." Ethan felt the world spinning around him. "Why, Agnes? For God's sake, why did you do this?" "Because she ruined everything." The answer erupted from her like a volcano of suppressed rage. "Everything was perfect. You were going to marry Miss Victoria. You were going to have a proper life. You were going to build a respectable family. And this woman, this Clara, appeared out of nowhere and destroyed everything again. Agnes, the children are my biological children. They are not." She violently shook her head, refusing to accept the reality. "You don't have children. You have a legitimate wife. You have social responsibilities. You have a respectable man to take care of. That woman is lying. She's taking advantage of your kindness. She's trying to destroy everything you built." Ethan realized with growing horror that he was dealing with someone who had completely lost touch with reality. Someone whose sick devotion had transformed into destructive obsession. "What is the exact address of the cabin?" Marcus intervened, pragmatic and focused on the essential. "Old Mill Road, number 847, in Lake Geneva." Mrs. Agnes provided the information between sobs. "It's after the bend by the abandoned church, on a dirt road. The house is blue with white shutters." They left immediately. The drive to Lake Geneva took 55 minutes, which felt like 5 eternal hours. Clara cried silently in the back seat. Ethan held her hand with desperate strength, and both prayed to find Leo safe and without severe psychological trauma. On the way, Ethan called his lawyer and the family doctor, arranging all the assistance Leo might need. He also contacted a child psychologist specializing in trauma to be available as soon as necessary. The reunion. The cabin was a small, isolated property with a simple but well-maintained house, painted light blue with white trim on the windows and doors. Upon arrival, they saw a light on in the window of what appeared to be a back room. Ethan didn't wait for the investigators. He ran to the front door and began pounding. "Leo! Leo, are you there? It's Ethan!" From inside the house came a cry of relief and joy. "Ethan, I'm here, I'm here." Ethan tried the doorknob. Locked. Marcus appeared with a screwdriver and quickly forced the simple lock. Leo was in the back room, sitting on a single bed with a floral quilt, looking at a storybook. When he saw Ethan in the doorway, his eyes filled with tears of pure relief, and he ran straight into the arms of the man he considered his personal hero. "Ethan, I knew you would find me. I knew it." He clung to Ethan's neck as if he would never let go. Ethan held him as if Leo were precious glass, feeling his heart return to its normal rhythm for the first time in hours. "Are you hurt?" he asked, anxiously checking Leo for any visible injury. "Did she hurt you in any way?" "No, no!" Leo shook his head against Ethan's shoulder. "She just said it was a special surprise for you, that you had asked me to stay here for a little while waiting. But it was taking a very, very long time, and she wouldn't let me call my mom to tell her where I was." Clara arrived a few seconds later, having run from the house entrance, and wrapped her son in a desperate, protective hug. "My love, my boy, I'm sorry, she gasped, checking every inch of him for bruises. "Never again. I promise I'll never let anything happen to you again." "Mommy, I'm fine." Leo comforted her with a heartbreaking maturity. "I knew they would find me. Ethan once promised he would always protect me, and he kept his promise." How do you think Leo will react to learning the whole truth about Ethan's identity? Will this shocking revelation create greater family unity or new divisions? Share your thoughts. The revelation. A father forever. In the car, on the way back to the city, Leo asked the question that definitively changed the course of their lives. "Ethan, why were you so desperate when I went missing? Why did you mobilize so many people to find me?" Ethan looked at Clara through the rearview mirror. She was sitting next to Leo, holding his hand as if it were a talisman against all the evils of the world. Their eyes met in the mirror, and she nodded almost imperceptibly. The moment had arrived. "Because I love you, Leo, and I couldn't live if something happened to you. Just like a father loves a son." The silence stretched for miles of dark road. Ethan could hear his own heartbeat in his ears. "It's because you're my real dad," Leo finally said, surprising the adults. "I didn't know I knew, but there was something inside me that recognized you. That's why I like you so much. That's why I feel safe when you're around. That's why you were so desperate when I went missing." "Are you mad at me for not telling you sooner?" Ethan asked, genuinely worried about his son's reaction. "No." Leo shook his head thoughtfully. "I'm mad at whoever made you stay away from us for so long, but I'm not mad at you." Clara began to cry again, but this time they were tears of relief and gratitude. Her son had not only forgiven her, but had demonstrated an emotional understanding that left her proud and humbled in equal measure. "Leo," she said softly, "do you understand that it was my fault? That I was the one who didn't tell Ethan you existed?" "Why?" Leo asked with genuine curiosity, without judgment. "Because I was scared. Scared he wouldn't want you. Scared I wouldn't be good enough for him. Irrational fear that he would get tired of us and leave. But now he's here," Leo observed with childlike logic. "And he loves us, and you are good enough for anyone. And even if we had problems, he would still love us. So the fear was wrong." The simplicity of Leo's conclusion was devastating and liberating at once. When they got home, Lily ran to her brother and didn't let go for several minutes, obsessively checking that he was truly safe and whole. Mrs. Agnes, the neighbor, not the housekeeper, had prepared hot chocolate for everyone, and they sat in the living room, finally reunited and safe. "Lily," Clara said delicately, "Ethan has something very important to tell you." Lily looked at Ethan with her large, trusting eyes, and to everyone's surprise, she smiled as if she already knew what was coming. "You're my dad," she said, before he could open his mouth. "Leo told me on the phone when you were coming home, but I already suspected it." "How did you suspect?" Ethan asked, genuinely surprised. "You love me the same way Mommy loves me, with that love that has no explanation, you know." Lily shrugged as if it were obvious. "And you have the same eyes as me, and the same way of tilting your head when you're thinking. And when I get sick, you make that worried face that only dads make. It was pretty obvious. You were my real dad." Ethan laughed. a mixture of relief and admiration for his daughter's extraordinary emotional intelligence. "And you're not mad at me for not telling you sooner?" "No," Lily shook her head firmly. "We understand that sometimes adults do complicated things for reasons that seem right at the time, even if they're wrong. But now you can live with us," she continued, hope shining in her eyes. "Can you be ours every day, not just Tuesdays and Thursdays?" Ethan looked at Clara, who nodded slowly. "That will depend on several important things. First, I will officially divorce Victoria, and your mom and I need to talk about many things about the future of our family. Do you still love Mommy?" Lily got straight to the point, with the typical frankness of children. "Lily!" Clara protested, her cheeks flushed with embarrassment. "It's a super important question, Mommy," Lily insisted seriously. "If he's going to be our real dad every day, it's much better if you two love each other. Otherwise, it will be weird and complicated." Ethan looked directly into Clara's eyes, and the whole room seemed to fall into absolute silence. "I never stopped loving your mother, not for a second in 7 long years," he answered. "Not even when I thought she had abandoned me without explanation. And you, Mommy?" Leo joined the loving interrogation. "Do you love Ethan?" Clara took a deep breath, knowing that after everything they had been through, after almost losing Leo, after years of lies and silences that almost destroyed everything, there was no longer room in their lives for anything but the absolute, raw truth. "Yes, I love him," she admitted, her voice choked. "I've always loved him, every day of these 7 years, even when I tried to convince myself that I had moved on." The children exchanged triumphant, complicit glances. "Then you just have to get married soon, and that's it," Lily concluded with childlike practicality. "Problem solved, family complete, happy ending like in the good movies." What did you think of the children's surprising wisdom and their reactions to the truth? How do you feel about Clara and Ethan's journey to finally be honest? Share your thoughts. The happy ending. A double-earned I do. Don't forget to comment on your favorite part and subscribe for more uplifting stories. The Garden of the Country estate in Lake Geneva, Wisconsin, transformed into a fairy tale setting. Wildflowers in white, pink, and yellow adorned every corner, interwoven with golden lights that hung from ancient trees like fallen stars. It was a small, intimate wedding. Just the true family and the closest friends who had accompanied them on their journey of reconciliation. Lily wore a light pink dress with a voluminous skirt and a delicate crown of fresh flowers, feeling like a true princess. Leo looked elegant in a navy suit, identical to his father's, with a tie he had personally chosen, because it matches Dad's eyes. Clara walked slowly toward the makeshift altar beneath an old tree that Ethan had climbed as a child, wearing a simple but elegant ivory dress, carrying a bouquet of white daisies picked from the estate's own garden. There was no father to walk her down the aisle, but she didn't feel lonely or abandoned. Leo and Lily accompanied her, one on each side, proud and solemn in their mission to deliver their mother to the man who had finally, officially, become the father he always should have been. Ethan waited for her with tears in his eyes, wearing the suit he had bought specifically for this day, feeling like the luckiest and most grateful man in the universe. His divorce from Victoria had been finalized 3 months earlier, after she was properly diagnosed with severe bipolar disorder and admitted for intensive treatment at a specialized clinic. Mrs. Agnes was also receiving appropriate psychiatric follow-up, and Ethan had decided, after much reflection and consultation with therapists, not to proceed legally, understanding that she needed medical treatment, not legal punishment. The quiet ceremony was officiated by Dr. George Harrison, a retired judge and family friend who knew the entire complicated history and had been deeply moved by their journey of separation and reunion. Clara and Ethan, his voice charged with genuine emotion. You two had to walk an extraordinarily long and painful path to reach this moment. You were lost in the labyrinth of fear and found each other through courage. You hurt each other deeply and healed each other mutually. You loved each other despite the physical and emotional distance, despite the lost time, despite all the circumstances that conspired against you. Today, you are not just getting married. You are formalizing a family that always existed in your hearts, a love that never truly died, a second chance that we all deserve when we fight for it with total dedication. When it came time for the personal vows, Ethan took Clara's hands and spoke directly to her soul, completely ignoring the people around them. Clara, I spent 7 years believing you had abandoned me because you didn't love me enough. Today, I know you left to protect me in the same brave way you protected our children all those years of solitude. You are the strongest woman I know, the most dedicated mother I can imagine, the bravest person I have ever met. I solemnly promise that we will never get lost again. I promise to be the father Leo and Lily deserved to have 7 years ago, the husband you always dreamed of having, the man our family needs to be complete. I love you with an intensity that frightens me. I always loved you even when it hurt, and I will love you until my last heartbeat. Clara could barely speak through the tears streaming freely down her face. Ethan, I made the biggest mistake of my life when I left without explaining my fears. I thought I was freeing you from a burden, but I was only running away from the responsibility of trusting our love, fear of not being enough, fear that our life wouldn't be perfect, irrational fear that you would get tired of us and abandon us. Today, I know that true love does not run from difficulties. It stays, it fights, it builds bridges over abysses. I promise not to make decisions alone that affect our family again. I promise to be your partner in all battles, your spouse in all dreams, your accomplice in all adventures. I love you with all my soul. I always loved you even when I tried to deny it, and our love story is only truly beginning. When the judge declared them husband and wife, Leo and Lily shouted, "Hooray!" in unison, and tossed rose petals into the air, which fell upon the couple like a perfumed blessing. It was the complete family, finally reunited, officially Hilo. During the reception that followed, with live music and dancing under the stars, Lily approached her parents with a solemn expression. "Can I ask for something special?" she asked, like a miniature adult. "Of course, princess. Anything," Ethan replied, kneeling to her height. "When I'm older and I get married someday, I want my wedding to be exactly like yours." "What do you mean, sweetheart?" Clara asked, intrigued. "With a complicated story that ends truly happy," Lily explained with conviction. "With people who love each other, even when it's very difficult and confusing. With a family that never gives up, even when it seems impossible. And with true love, the kind that never runs out." Leo joined the conversation, as he always did. "And when I have kids, I'll tell them the whole story of how Grandpa Ethan and Grandma Clara got lost and found each other, so they know that sometimes the best things in life need to be earned twice, and that true love is worth waiting and fighting for." Ethan and Clara looked at each other over their children's heads, knowing that Leo and Lily had learned the most important and valuable lessons in life. That true love forgives the most serious mistakes, that families are built with infinite patience and daily dedication, and that second chances, when earned with genuine effort, can be even more precious and solid than the first. What was the most impactful moment of the wedding ceremony for you, and why? Share your final reflections on Ethan and Clara's journey to find their true happiness. Thank you for watching.